I think it's
Good evening, everyone. It is our regular meeting on Thursday, July 16, 2026. It is 5:30 p.m. at the Emmett Shockley Administration Building. Mr. Cole, could you take roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
present.
Mrs. Paez?
Present?
Mrs. Crumley?
Present.
Mr. Orozco?
Present.
Mr. Crowe, present.
On to Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag of the state of Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam President, no changes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
On to reports. NEA Deming?
Hi, Ms. Berger.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, school board members, and superintendent. I just have an update for our collective bargaining agreement. We began the school year 2026-27 with a memorandum of agreement because we have not finished writing the agreement for the school year. So we hope to finish quickly and then get it ratified and then bring to the school board. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions by the board? No. Thank you, Ms. Berger.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On to superintendent reports and updates. Mr. Waldman.
Madam President, members of the board, we're going to go through our regular set of reports here. Just a little update on enrollment. On the left-hand side, you can see our enrollment totals monthly at the end of last year. You can see in June meeting what we reported relative to returning the registrations and then the ones weren't started, plus new K through 12 and pre-K. So again, we've had more started, less that are not started. A good handful of kids that are coming in new, and a good strong class of pre-K. I was talking with Ms. Swinney and Ms. Lozano, and they've just got about all their classes just about full and starting a waiting list. So that's a positive trend. Kind of once we get things settled, and our staff continues to work to track down where these 338 that aren't started are. They may have left the district, not done the withdrawal process. We'll kind of get that worked out, and then we'll take a really close look always at the kinder numbers because we know that we start with those kinder numbers, and that kind of gives us a projection of where our enrollment trends are going over the next decade, and that's important for our planning. Any additional information I can find for you all on that?
Any requests by the board? I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. There we go. I haven't seen these pictures yet. We'll go to the HR updates. We have a little bit of, and this was as of probably, I know they've onboarded some more folks, but this is probably as of last Thursday. So I think a good opportunity here, you can sort of compare July of this year. So if we scroll down, Charles, to the bottom here, you'll see that we have 38 total positions open. 29 of them are teachers. 8 of them are SPED vacancies. And if we scroll all the way to last June, or July, sorry, we'll be able to see a little bit of a beginning of the year comparison. I can't believe we've been here for all these tabs. 35 positions that started last year, 21. And I know last year we weren't totaling the SPED. So again, kind of in the same vicinity there on our staffing update. Any questions or more information I can bring for you on that topic?
With those numbers, does that mean, so whatever's not open, are those contracts that have been signed? Or are there like letters of understanding? That's what in June, I thought, and in May, when we were looking at the numbers for this coming year, I thought there were like letters of intent or something done.
I think I understand what you're saying, Ms. Johnson. So we kind of had we had letters of intent go out. We had some people that had resigned and hadn't come back. So our May, June numbers are a little bit weird. But we've kind of got that kind of settled out now. And so those vacancies that you're seeing are vacancies that we have opened up positions for that just haven't been filled. So when you're looking at July to July, you're kind of saying, hey, we're starting school next week. These are places that we have actual vacancies that we're trying to address.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, next slide. And of course, okay, it's great to be a Wildcat, and I've had the opportunity to visit a panel at Western New Mexico University with their Ed Leadership program. Got to attend that conference and share a little bit with the aspiring administrators. Obviously, I attended the Public Education Commission meeting to advocate for the district relative to the proposed K-8 charter school, in addition to having a conversation with local media. I did want to let the board know, in June, kind of authorized me to do any end of the year bar adjustments to avoid any potential issues. We didn't need to use that this year. So again, great job by Mr. Adcock and his staff making sure we were able to get everything to you in that last meeting. And we'll try to do that again next year where I'm not in a position to have to do that. In addition, we had a great admin retreat this week. Looking forward to seeing the staff back next week. And of course, our convocation with staff, our Wildcat Welcome next Tuesday. But most importantly, I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome our new SPED leadership group. Okay, there's Mr. Avalos over there. That's Mr. Avalos and Mr. Lewis, if you want to come up here and introduce yourselves and anything you want to share with the board, I can say we are thrilled to have this team joining us. Mr. Avalos and Mr. Lewis.
Good evening, board. My name is Sam Avalos. I come to the district with over 25 years of experience, mainly within the special education realm. And I have a family of 4, daughter, son, who have gone through public education themselves. And I wanted to make sure that you all understood and were rest assured that my main goal and main priority is and always will be that of the students. General education first, special education is what they need, then we will support them. Along with me tonight is my illustrious right-hand man, Mr. Eugene Lewis, my assistant.
I know many of you know me. I've been here for over 13 years, so starting year 14. 25 years of Border Patrol, and I think my experience in admin within Border Patrol gives me some experience where I'm at, but I'm quickly learning a lot of new things daily. Mr. Avalos, can't speak well enough of him, of the knowledge that he's bringing to us. Just working with him for the last week and a half, or actually 2.5 weeks, I've been able to see what knowledge and benefits he's going to bring to this district. And I see great things in the future. And we have a challenge ahead of us, and we know what we're getting into, and it's just a matter of moving on one step at a time. As they say, you can only eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Avalos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and that concludes my reports, Madam President.
On to public comment. Do we have anyone who's signed up? On to our consent agenda. Any motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Mr. Cole?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
On to discussion items. A, cell phone policy update, secondary schools, principals.
Madam President, members of the board, not recently, in the last year or so, you all passed forward thinking, passing a cell phone policy that is in line with what eventually became the state requirement and expectation. So we wanted to give you a little bit of update for each campus on what they feel is going well, what they are seeing as some areas of growth, and how they may be approaching it. So I'll invite the whole team up here. That way they can be together there, and I'll let them pick the order they want to go in.
Oh, no.
Well.
Let Charlotte pick.
That's right. That's right.
Good evening, Board President Crumley, members of the board, Superintendent Wilmoth, Gaspar Lozano, Principal for Deming High. So I had sent out the survey results and kind of behavior data. And I just did a little synopsis on that, so I'll just go over that real quick. So We did a survey at the end of the year. We always do. One of the components in the survey was the cell phone policy. We had about 58 staff members respond to the survey. 60% reported that the cell phone procedures were effective, while only 21% viewed them as ineffective. Staff consistently reported improvements in classroom conditions, with the greatest being in reduced classroom distractions, increased student engagement, improved student focus, better classroom interactions, increased academics, and easier classroom management. The survey also provided valuable feedback on where we can improve. Staff overwhelmingly agreed that the policy itself is working, but its effectiveness depends on consistency implementation by all adults across all settings. The most frequently identified needs were consistent enforcement, consistency between classrooms, and clear expectations for students. We also pulled the behavior data for referrals, and as you know, the first infraction, the student gets it taken away, they get it at the end of the day. The second infraction, a parent has to go pick it up. A third one, they can't bring it to the school setting, and if a parent says, well, they need it for safety or after school or they walk, we allow the student to take it to the front office and leave it in one of the lockers. Anything after that, if they keep bringing it, is under insubordination. Those are rare. So if you look at the behavior results, first infraction, we had 433 students. Then it decreased for the second, so 158 students with the second infraction, so it decreased 36%. And then we only had 10% of those repeaters from the first one get a third or beyond, which represented about 42. So 64% of the students corrected their behavior after the first intervention, and 90% of students never reached the third violation. And like I said, moving forward, it's a consistency issue with us. As you know, if you've ever been in a high school, the students know what teachers are more relaxed. Coming from the administration point of view, that's something that we just need to address more. So if we see that, if I'm passing by one of the classrooms, there's a window, I see a student with a cell phone, I go pick it up, that teacher will be addressed later in private regarding what was going on, that they did not see the phone or saw it and it was not confiscated. So again, just more consistency from the adults, but overwhelmingly all staff members feel the policy is good. It's just the enforcement and the consistency.
So Early College High School, members of the board, Madam President, Mr. Superintendent. At Early College, I second everything Gasper said. We had numerous first and second violations, but we never had anybody where they were banned from having their cell phone at school, which to me, the data shows that the students took it seriously. If they knew you're going to enforce it, then they know they can't play around, because then they're going to use their phone privileges entirely. And 100% of our staff feel like it was effective and helpful policy.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent W. I looked at some different data, a lot of it similar. I can't agree more with what these gentlemen have said so far. The teachers do feel like it's working. They want to make sure that we continue doing it. 44 out of our 46 teachers did write a referral for at least one level of infraction. We did have 64% of our kids never had a violation. That was 470 of our students. 264 of our students did receive a violation. That was 36% of the population. Let's see, 51% of the first-time offenders did offend again, but they didn't get to the third level. We only had 20 students that got to level 3, and then after that, we did have 2 students that did bring the cell phone back a 4th time, and then that was insubordination, kind of like what Mr. Lozano was talking about. And that was only 2.7% of our students that reached the third referral. So overall, I think it's working with the kiddos as well. The efficacy is definitely important, making sure that every single teacher is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then us following up for accountability to make sure that those teachers realize that our policies are only as good as the people enforcing them.
President Crumley, Superintendent Wilgamith, members of the board, I'm just proud to say it's not an issue at DIS, and I attribute that to several things. One, the amount of times the students and parents see the policy. So when we do pre-registration, we go to the elementary schools in April, and we review the policy with the students, and we send a copy home. In May, we have an open house for our incoming sixth graders, and parents and students receive the policy again. Next week, at scheduled pickup and open house, they'll receive it one more time, and then the first day of school, it is reviewed in class, and students sign for it in case, that way they can't say, you never went over it with me. So we do keep that documented. The other thing I contribute to it not being a problem at DIS is just my staff is on board, and it's the expectation. It's a school-wide initiative, and I will say that when you all passed the policy, they were thrilled. And it's just been that it's been consistent. There's not, teachers who allow it and teachers that don't. We're just all on the same page. And so, and I think, I do have a smaller staff, of course, than these gentlemen, but I do feel like the amount of times that they see the policy and those expectations. I only had 2 students who got to the 3rd violation, and parents were very, very supportive when we called them and said, you've got to come get it, and they can't bring it back. Very, very supportive. So it has not been an issue at DIS.
And somebody's got to help me with this, Madam President, members of the board, maybe Charles or the principals can help me with this. This was implemented halfway, I believe, through the 24-25 school year that spring. So this last school year, if I get my math right, was kind of the first year of full implementation all year. Is that accurate? Okay, all right, thank you. I just had to get
Does
that.
it seem like it was more at the beginning of the year or the end of the year, or pretty even throughout the year?
It was,
Violations.
Yeah, so it was better at the beginning, and then I think what happened is kids got creative too. So another issue that came up that we didn't anticipate is all of a sudden we started seeing kids with more personal devices like iPads and Bluetooth. So then we had to kind of backtrack and ask why, because what happened at the beginning is as they were coming into campus, they had to take out their phone, they had to shut it off in front of us and put it in their backpack. It takes time, but it works. So unless we do that every single day, that kind of went by the wayside a little bit, so then they started having it in their pockets. So then when a teacher noticed it, they did it. But then the Bluetooth, we had to also confiscate those. So those are being confiscated at the same time as a cell phone. So even though we don't see a cell phone and they have a Bluetooth, it's because their phone's in their backpack on. But they also started doing that with iPads and laptops. So I remember asking Mr. Gilker too about if there was any way to disconnect any personal device off the Wi-Fi network, but then again, we have staff members using the Wi-Fi. So they get creative. So then like in the middle of the year, we had to say no personal devices. Very few parent complaints though. A lot of times like parents, they'll even say, well, I'm not picking up the phone till next week. So that was surprising that we have that support because we're taking it away from them and they didn't want them at home either, I guess. So, but yeah, just some adjustments. I know the policy says, correct me if I'm wrong, it just says electronic devices, right? It doesn't sell cell phone
I
devices?
thought we defined it.
And
Okay.
Madam President, members of the board, I think we had a policy meeting last fall where we were taking what Deming had done plus the new state guidance, and I think we adjusted it where that definition is relatively broad.
Okay.
So that helps us justify the personal devices, so that helps.
Pretty much, it basically says no electronic communication devices outside of something that's needed, via 504 or an IEP type of thing.
Well, and I didn't hear anybody mention it, but I just the rumblings, right? The cell phones attributed to problems within school, right? Because then they get on social media and then a fight happens because of that. So I'm sure you're seeing a reduction in that too, correct?
Yeah, that helped a lot. So when we see the cameras from the school system, now you don't see anybody. And if you do have that one person with the phone, it's very easy to identify and then go pick up that kid as why he had his phone and why they were recording. Yeah, thank you for that. But no, that was a big one too. Thank you.
If I could add just a little bit more too, along that line, we only had a handful of situations where we were dealing with Snapchat drama, Instagram drama, because within the school day, the kids would get on their phones and they would create some of that. And it was kind of one of those things that we were nonstop dealing with that. We had over hundreds of referrals and situations, mediations, and things that we dealt with prior to the cell phone policy. And last year, I may be able to count them all on 2 hands. So it definitely improved that a lot. Yeah, we'll keep that.
Any other clarifications or questions the board has of myself or the secondary team?
Any questions for the board? No, I think we're good.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
On to transportation funding and allocation.
Okay, Madam President, members of the board, I just wanted to give you all an update on transportation funding and the allocation for this year. This guy would say it was a little bit of a weird situation on the allocation. We wait on that from the Public Education Department. They don't release those allocations until statewide they have all the right data from all the school districts and charter schools from the 80th day, which is in December, that count day, and the 120th day in February. Once they get all that information certified for all the entities in the state, they then take the money the legislature provided and they divide it up based on a formula. So we did not get any type of allocation until June 10th. And that turned out to be what I have put in here. We didn't think it was going to be at the time, but it turned out to be what the PED likes to call a planning allocation. This is what we think we're going to give you. That planning allocation was posted for maybe a day, and then they removed that, that planning allocation. And then they gave us our final allocation for transportation on July 2nd. I think a couple of important notes is that the Public Education Department noted that when they released the July 2nd allocation, that they had applied an adjusted formula for the allocation. That formula, the superintendents did not really know that there was going to be an adjustment to the formula. And of course, I mentioned before, allocation is determined by ridership, which since 21 and 22 here in Deming has declined by over 400 students. So the difference between last year's allocation for the everything but the rental fee, so operation, maintenance, and fuel, we received a reduction of over $477,000 versus last school year. That was a total of a 16% reduction. Now, I will tell you that was as by the final allocation that we got on July 2nd. The planning allocation that we received on June 10th, I believe was about a 1.7% decrease. So we went from kind of expecting on June 10th, okay, you know what, we were going to get a little reduction, we got ridership issues, right? 1.7% decrease to then a month later, nearly $500,000, okay? And nothing changed between June 10th and July 2nd on the funding, the state funding portion, outside of the formula itself. And so again, I was just at a superintendent's meeting in Albuquerque. This was a conversation. They basically put all, I won't go into this too much, but they basically put all the school entities on like a bell curve, right? And so depending on what quantile you fell in, you got more or less funding. My biggest concern is, and Joe and I are going to continue to work on this because Joe, I can appreciate he wants to know that he sat in a meeting to try to understand the formula because he wants to be able to know what to plan for, which he did not have the opportunity this year. They put the school districts in different groups to base kind of their funding, and they put us in the same group as Albuquerque. And so Joe and the rest of the producers are working on getting that list, then try to figure out, like, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm not sure the transportation conditions and needs in rural New Mexico, Deming, or elsewhere are too similar to Albuquerque, but that's something that, again, this was just July 2nd, that the superintendents will have the information they need. Joe, did you want to add something?
Madam President, members of the board, superintendent. So one of that curve that he's talking about, the quintiles that he's talking about, is they're grouping districts by cost per student. That's how we got in the same group with Albuquerque, because our cost per student is similar to what they're paying. Now they're using historical data, so it depends on how they were reporting those costs as to where that come into. They are supposed to send us out the complete list of all of the districts, what area they're in, which quintile they're in, and what that formula is so that we can take a look at it and understand it better. But we were put in, it's kind of a mixed thing, we were put in one of the most efficient groups. So we were doing good, but then we get a loss of funding. So Everybody's trying to understand that. One of the things that was really talked about at this meeting was maybe it should be, instead of a cost per student, maybe it should be a cost per mile. Because for us to go get some of the students, it's a lot more miles than if you're in an Albuquerque area.
Right.
And so they are looking at doing those. But to the Superintendent Williams' point, 84% of that formula has to do with ridership. So it still is heavily, it's a heavy weight on the ridership of our students.
Do we know the 80 and 120 day for this coming year already?
The actual days,
Right.
Ms. Johnson? Yes. Typically, the 80th day is always the Friday, December 1st, correct? If
September
it's on a
1st.
weekend, it's the Monday, correct? This is like a quiz. And then the...
120 is the second Wednesday of February.
Okay, well, sometimes on Valentine's Day. That's how on Valentine's Day, second Wednesday in February. That's what, and thank you, Joe. So I did want to share that. Again, we're learning more on that. I obviously, we do put some money aside annually to supplement out of operational. Because I believe, I'll go back one more, Chuck. I believe that, there's still going to sometimes be a need for a little bit of supplementing, but this amount of supplementing that we're having to do really is not an acceptable amount out of operational. And we've got to work on the formula side, but we also got to work, with our contractors overtime, which I'll talk about in a moment. Remember, and I think I mentioned this last time, the allocated to and from transportation money, is also obviously used to cover what our contractors help us with. We run a couple of routes, but we also provide all of the routing services and a lot of things for our contractors. So, in our department, we have a cost there as well. And so, we're going to be supplementing quite a bit. Anyway, I put in bold here, DPS will need to look at ways to bring our to and from transportation costs much closer to the expected state transportation allocation in future years. So next slide, Charles. Again, like I mentioned, one issue is that we have is our ridership and our number of routes. I will share, if you want to click on the route and ridership graph, Charles. Yeah, this is something, I've worked with transportation and Joe on this, but this is our ridership and routes since 21-22. So the green bar is the average of the 80th and 120th day of ridership. As you can see, that has declined. Kind of had a weird FY23 drop, but then it kind of picked back up. But since since 23-24, we've kind of seen sort of a steady decline. I think we can kind of anticipate that's going to kind of be where we're going to be at. But we have, over 400 less riders, but the same amount of routes. And so, we do really need to, and I know this was a little bit of a conversation at this time last year about optimizing the routes. Go ahead, Anne-Marie. And we had some transition in transportation, but I know we have a team now that's committed to doing that. So Anne-Marie, what did you want to share about this information here?
Yes, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent W. Speaking to what Superintendent was talking about when we got into our new contract with the software, the optimization is per route. So after getting into this position a full year, it occurred to me we need to do an evaluation from the sky view of every route we have. It seems like over the years, different areas of the city got larger. So we kind of just put Band-Aids to put buses here, and I feel we really need to look at an evaluation. We had talked about it yesterday. I'm now clear, optimization versus evaluation. First Service, which we reached out to last year, contacted me again about an evaluation. I have a meeting with them in August, and they usually do their routing evaluations from August to October. So they can I feel that's going to be a great investment to see where we are at as far as a district and being down 400 students.
And if we needed to make changes, when would we do that? Like at Christmas break or?
That's what we were thinking, yes.
Okay.
Member Johnson, we do need to look at doing it as soon as possible, but with the least time, with the least,
Confusion.
not confuse, yeah, a lot of kids.
Right.
And when you say they do the evaluation, who is it that actually does the evaluation?
So right now, I have looked at first service.
So it would be a contractor?
Yes, a contractor.
And what you're saying, Emery, and just for clarity purposes for myself and the board, we have our new software we bought that can optimize a single route, right? Making sure that that single route is, stopping and picking up kids at the right spots. What this system doesn't do was, like you said, take the whole view. Here's our 47 routes that we're running here in Dewey Public Schools. Do we need 47 routes, right?
Correct. That's
and
correct.
that's what a company like First Student or somebody else could help us say, hey, of these 47 routes, like, can we get this down to 37? I don't know. That's just a number. So that's kind of
They just take the data, they will present it, they'll even come here to a board meeting and present it to let us know and give us recommendations.
Thank you.
hang out there, Emery, because there may be some more questions. Let me go to this. Go back to the slideshow. And then, I kind of want to show Joe had prepared this, with our expenditures and what we have been supplementing. And so you can see, there's obviously a difference between, the last 2 years in what we are having to supplement. And so we really, again, we could see it's fluctuated, back and forth over several years. I asked Joe, back from, the end of 22-23 to the start of 23-24, where was that big jump again? And Joe was kind of reflecting, says, I think there was a change in the formula at that time too, which got more money back. And so then this enormous jump you see between last year and this year. Granted, we have some work to do. Another formula change there as well. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you go back to the slideshow, Mr. Turner, please. Joe, anything you want to share? I'm sorry. Joe, go back so Joe could.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendent, I just wanted to share one more little piece of information here that we got from that meeting. Whenever they applied the formula to every district and charter in the state, they come up with a number that it would cost to do transportation based on that formula. But it was already after the state legislature has already been completed. So then they applied another factor to bring it down to what that state, what the state allocated. And the state had only approved about 93% of the allocation that we needed for the entire state. So that there is about a 7%. If everything stayed the same, they should be going back to the state legislature and it's saying we need at least a 7% increase, not barring any other changes.
And I think, Joe, to that point, we were talking about this in the superintendent's meeting. The state has not increased the amount of the pie for transportation in a couple of years in general, right? So that I think that kind of amount of the pie remains the same, being divided up. And so again, hopefully this will be some information to what Joe said there with this formula they put in place to give information to the state legislature to say, listen, even using this formula, you're underfunding transportation statewide by 7%. But again, all that equal, still we have some things that we need to address here.
Yeah, the only changes that they would make to the allocation was if they mandated a 1% raise, or if they mandated insurance issues or something like that, they would change the allocation based on that, but not the allocation as a whole.
If you go back to the slideshow, Mr. Turner. Thank you, Joe. And then, of course, like I was sharing here, we need to bring some costs down this year. We know that there are, and Anne-Marie can speak more to these, we have some possible port of entry routes that can be worked on relatively easily, full look at optimization. And then I think transportation, student transportation to and from is exempt from the procurement process as per state law. However, there may be some wisdom in putting out an RFP for student transportation services this year, put one out this fall, to see if we get any requests for that services for 27, 28, because I know there was some, again, if I'm having a reflection from last year, I think Mrs. Treviso, at the request of the board, had brought some information about, what was some other options and services out there. I think based on what we have here, we may want to consider doing that to give all of us, the board and everybody, all the information that we can have about transportation costs for students. Anything you want to add, Anne Marie?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Madam President, members of the board, any questions you have on this or anything we can follow up for you?
How soon would that RFP be ready to go out if we were to move forward with it?
I think I had a little conversation with Joe. We know that if let's say we got some responses to our RFP, we chose to go there and we were looking for new folks to transport our kids. It takes about a 6-month process to do that. So if we were going to do that, putting out an RFP probably sometime in August to get all the information and then back to the board to consider in January of 27, then decides how the board wants to, if the board chooses to move forward, that would give somebody who responded to the RFP that 6-month transition period, because gotta get all the buses appraised and all that kind of stuff. So we've kind of been talking about there's that timeline relative to that. Did I get that right, Joe, on the timeline wise? Okay. Any other questions on this right now?
Any other questions for the board?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Anne Marie.
Thank you. On to our action items. A, bond finance plan hearing and consideration to approve a resolution determining the necessity to issue ETNs and a notice of a public hearing. Mr. Adcock.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendent. So sometime back, whenever we went out for the bond election for the GEO bond, we had talked about doing the tech bond as well at the same time. And all of this at the time was to keep our rates, tax rates the same, so that there was no change to everybody. That did go through. We have collected some tax for that. Do we have Katie? We do have Katie from RBC online that can answer any specific questions that you have with that.
There's Katie.
Yes, hello. So sorry for that. I'm getting some echo. Can everyone?
We can hear you, Kaylee. We're going to try to handle this one mic situation here.
Okay. I'll start to share my screen in the meantime. All right. Am I okay with this?
Kaylee, can you hear us now?
Yep.
Okay, Kaylee, go ahead and give it a shot now, okay?
Awesome. Well, good evening, President, members of the board. My name is Keith Wyrick, with Markets. Here tonight, because one of you are a range of resolutions that allow the district to move forward with the sale of up to $450,000 of education technology notes. So to jump in my presentation, I just have a brief finance plan update for you before we get to those approvals. So first starting with the district history of assessed valuation, the district did see an increase in its assessed valuation in our current tax year, 2025. Looking a little bit further, that growth was spurred both in your residential, non-residential, and centrally assessed values, which we like to see. So one thing that we wanted to talk about too was some of those constitutional amendments that voters had approved back in November of 2024. As a reminder, the veteran exemption was expanded from $4,000 up to $10,000. And additionally, the disabled veteran exemption was expanded to be able to include all disabled veterans and allow them to be tax exempt by their percentage of disability. So anything that is taxed or assessed valuation, we watch very closely. So last year, back in 2024, the district had about $2.9 million of veteran exemption and $5.2 million of disabled veteran exemption. This year, we did see your veteran exemption jump up to $6, which we had anticipated, but we only saw your disabled veteran exemption increase $0.1 million. In talking to county assessors across the state, a lot of disabled veterans didn't know to apply for the new exemption. They didn't do a great job rolling it out. So with that in mind, we're anticipating that disabled veteran exemption will still increase as much as $17.5 million. Which could be as much as $11 million hit to your assessed valuation, or about 1.6%. I'm looking at your historic tax rates. So our current plan of finance is based off of keeping our tax rates at their current levels. The district has our operating tax rate in place along with the 2 mil levy. Now, historically, we have kept your total combined debt service tax rate level at $5.75. This past year, though, we started that education tax rate of 6%. We lowered that GO bond tax rate a little bit too. So all in all, your total residential tax rate will continue to be level at $8.23. We're starting the tax rate setting process of PUD now, and we are anticipating to keep their tax rates at the same levels. Again, our ultimate goal is to keep that total combined debt service tax rate at $5.75, so that your total residential tax rate can continue to be $8.23. Here we just have recurring outstanding debt. The district has a range of GO bonds currently outstanding for a total of $19.28 million. The education technology note is a form of debt, but that will get paid off really quickly. We'll talk more about that later, but one thing I just want to note is that we have pretty elevated payments in 2026, 2027, 2028. That's just because of some $1 million balloon payments in your 2014 bonds. But we have plenty of surplus cash to be able to weather, those elevated payments without needing a tax rate increase. And in fact, we had so much of a cash buffer, we were even able to start that education technology note tax rate. So just for your overall debt management plan, as I mentioned, the district has SB9 in place. That was renewed back in 2023. That's good for 6 years, so we don't need to renew that until 2029. We're not talking about GO bonds tonight, want to mention that you do have $7 million collection authorization from the November 2025 election. We're anticipating that first sale of $3.5 million to be next year, and then that second sale to be in 2029. Overall tax rate management, as I've said over and over again, our goal is just keep everything level. So for the education technology note, the way how we're going to structure this and sell it is as a one-day note with the state treasurer's office. So back last summer, we set the education technology note tax rate for the district at 66-cent tax rate. Then when that tax rate began starting on November 1st, the district began to accumulate funds in its ETN debt service fund 43,000. The issue with the funds in ETN debt service fund 43,000 is that they can only be used to pay off education technology notes. They can't be used for your technology needs. So what we have to do is that we're going to go to the state treasurer's office and we're going to sell her a one-day note. It's only going to be outstanding for 1 day. So when they buy the note, we receive the proceeds from the ETN sale to be able to use our technology needs. And then the day after closing, we will pay off that ETN and it'll be completely written off the books. Next year then, for tax rate setting, we'll also set another ETN tax rate and do the same process again. And here's just what it looks like in reality. So with tonight's approval, we'll be able to set the rate with the state clerk's office on July 29th. We've already submitted that letter requesting funding from the state treasurer's office. Then we'll have a special board meeting on August 6th. Unfortunately, we have to approve the final terms of the to add a special board meeting between 3 and 4 weeks of today's initial approval due to some quirky state statutes. After that special board meeting, we'll then be able to place the ETNs on September 9th because then the district will have funds for your technology needs. And then because we have the repayment already in our ETN debt service fund, the day after it closes, we'll pay off that ETN and we'll be off the funds. I'll stand there if you have any questions for me. I just have some extra information about ETNs in the back. But I'll stand to see if there's any questions for me about, tonight's presentation or the approvals before I hand it off to Heather to go over the resolution.
President, members of the board, any questions for Kaylee on the information she presented? No questions. Thank you, Kaylee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to hear that. Hi, Heather. We're ready. If you're going to share, we're ready for you. If you unmute, we'll give it a try. We're waiting on just Heather. Heather, if you could try to unmute again. There we go.
No.
Now you're right.
Okay, sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I had the circle of death going.
Okay, well, we're glad you're with us now.
Thank you. So in your packet, you'll see the resolution with a really long title, which is the authorization and determination of necessity to enter into the lease purchase arrangement for the educational technology equipment. And like Kaylee noted, this is for $450,000 to be used for educational technology equipment purchase. And the terms will be included in the Exhibit A to that resolution, which has a nice summary. The one thing of note is that you do, by statute, have to have a special board meeting, which we understand is set for August 6th at 4:30 p.m. And once that's set, we can't change it, so we just want to make sure that works for the board.
We're getting some nods of agreement here. Thank you, Heather.
Great. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to try.
Uh-oh. You there, Heather?
I am, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay.
Any questions by the board? No?
I think we're good. I think we're good to consider this resolution. Heather.
Thank you. Thank you.
President.
I have a motion regarding this action item.
I make a motion that we approve the board finance plan hearing and consideration to approve a resolution determining the necessity to issue ETNs and a notice of a public hearing.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you, Heather. We appreciate it.
On to action item B.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Approve the Deming Public Schools strategic plan for the term of 2026 through 2029.
Madam President, members of the board, we've been talking about this the last couple of of meetings. We provided a summary here of our strategic plan, right? Our 4 areas: reading, math, student wellness and belonging, and college, career, and life readiness, with some benchmark data that we're going to get back to you. We're really excited about this. We integrated some of this into our retreat, our admin retreat. Upon approval tonight, we will share out these broad goals to all of our staff at Wildcat Welcome this weekend. And so this strategic plan, in addition to our Marzano HRS Framework for Success, that's what's going to guide us these next 3 years. And then we'll begin to bring you quarterly updates on items and indicators on the strategic plan and what the work that we're doing on it and adjustments we need to make. So again, nothing changed much since the last meeting. We did adjust up. The only thing that we adjusted up in here was were the on-time graduation rates there on page 4. We were already at like an 85% at the comprehensive high school, so we wanted to adjust that up just a little bit. But again, if we can get to 90% district-wide by, 85% is tremendous in the first place. But if we can get to 90% in 3 years, that'd be great. We're in a good spot. So that's the only small change that was made since our discussion in June.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
When we're testing to see how we're following these, is it extra testing on top of what they're already doing, or is it aligned with?
That is an excellent question, Board Member
we already
Johnson.
do so much
So,
testing.
Madam President, members of the board, we've been working with Learning Services, and we're actually have a plan to reduce the amount of testing that is being used. So the one example I'll give you is, obviously we get our end of the year summative reading data, obviously from our NMSSA state test 3 through 8. However, we're going to use Amira as our benchmark assessment. The kids already work on Amira, so that's one we're going to keep because it's required by the state at certain grade levels. We'll continue to expand that through, but that will be our focus. So we're trying to pick some measures we know we're already using to get the information back to you, but then get you, as a school board, the right information that is consumable to you. Because there's a lot of data out there that we look at as a leadership team, but from a community and board perspective, we really want to target into some specific things. So I'll give you that example. No, there is actually a plan here to step back a little bit from assessments that we're using, and then leverage what we have, and then we are looking for we have an assessment we are going to use in math, but we believe over the next year, because of the state math law that was passed last session, that the state's going to come to us with you use one of these 3 assessments. So we're waiting for them to tell us, so we don't pick something, go with it, and then have to unpick. So we're gonna use what we have right now for math, and then kind of get in line with kind of what the state recommends. But that's an excellent question.
Any other questions by the board regarding the strategic plan? Do you have a motion?
I make that motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
On to C, consideration to accept the final evaluation of the superintendent as discussed in closed session of the June 18, 2026 regular meeting.
Madam President, as you can see here on the slide, we do need to have an action to accept my evaluation as discussed in executive session. So we have that as a record of my evaluation this year.
Any questions by the board?
No?
I'm distracted by the picture.
They are distracting.
Bobby wasn't there. I'm just kidding.
That's Olivia.
There you go.
That doesn't look like me.
It's a younger version of you.
Do you have a motion regarding this item?
I'll make that motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
All right, on to D, consideration to approve budget adjustment requests. Mr. Adcock.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendent. So I've got 5 bars here for your consideration. I'm going to take them a little bit out of order from what they're listed there. Number 3, number 4, and number 5 are all initial budgets for this year. They were not part of what we approved in May or in June because we didn't get those allocations until later on. So I'm bringing these to you for the initial budget. All 3 of these are grants that we have gotten in the past. It's just a continuation of those. The reason I wanted to do that a little bit out of order is because number 2, the operational adjustment, and number 6, the transportation decrease, kind of go together. So as we talked earlier, there was a large decrease in the funding for transportation. From the planning allocation to what we finally got, there was about a $414,000 reduction that we need to do this decrease bar for.
And that's number 6, right, Joe?
That's
The
number
decrease- the
6,
decrease
that's
bar is number
correct.
6.
So those expenses didn't go away, so we have to have those somewhere. So what we're doing with number 2 is we're moving some money from direct instruction and from some contingency that we put, both of these are contingencies. We put some contingency in student nutrition to move into the to and from transportation line items so that we can absorb those costs.
Is that going to negatively affect operations this coming school year? Like, where is that money coming from
So,
specifically?
If you remember back when we were talking in May, we put in some contingencies in case something comes up. It's not going to directly take anything from what the schools budgeted for or what was budgeted for specifically. We just had some contingencies in some of those categories that we were able to pull out. We'd also talked about like the student nutrition, how that is very close in about a break-even point with, you know, the food and the cost of labor that we have with that. And we get paid based on the number of meals that we serve. So I put in some contingency into the operational just in case we need something additional to support that. So this is not necessarily taking away from anything, it's just reducing that contingency that was built in.
Do we still have a comfortable contingency or no?
There is still a comfortable contingency at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions by the board regarding these bars?
No.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
On to action item E, consideration to approve the purchase of vehicles, specifically 4 2026 Chevrolet Passenger Suburbans and 2 2026 Chevrolet Silverados from CES vendor Tillery Bus Sales and GM Fleet in the amount of $380,149 and any applicable taxes.
Ms. Mora?
Hi, again, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent W. So, as you know, we auctioned off some vehicles. Oscar's could be an auctioneer now if you wanted to in his spare time, but don't do it full time, please. And so we want to replace some current vehicles. We have developed a 5-year plan so that we can just look nice and make sure our vehicles are up to par. Our students are being traveled in well-working vehicles. Some of the vehicles that those schools have right now that are listed are approximately 15 years old. So we want them to be traveling safe. We wanted to make sure we replaced the vehicles that have students first. And then we do have some new administrators Oscar, and then we have Andy Para. So we want to get them a vehicle so that they're able to, they're the ones out in the field, so we need to get them a vehicle so they can be out and about whenever needed. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Any questions by the board? Have a motion regarding this item?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
On to F, consideration to approve the initial fleet service contract with Haynes Buses Incorporated for the 2026-2027 school year in the amount of $1,129,992.38.
So this year we did something different. We had, in the previous years, we all met together. This time we met individually with each contractor. We did, as we spoke at the last meeting, request some information from them regarding their financial statements. And with that, Joe and I and my team talked about, at the time, it was a decrease in the allocation from last year, and we were concerned about what was going to happen. So one of the issues that kept coming up from the contractors is fuel. The fuel had gone up, and then they want to give some increases for their staff to keep the bus drivers, because as we all know, by the way, if you drive a bus and would like to work for us, come see us. They want to keep their bus drivers, so they want to give them some increases. And so when we met with Haynes, this is the amount that we had that wanted to bring up to you for approval.
And Ms. Mora, approximately for this contractor, this represents an approximate minus the rental fees for the field operations, maintenance, salary, and benefits. For this contractor, this represents approximately how much of a difference?
3.5% from last year.
3.5%. Okay.
Any questions by the board? Any action regarding this item?
I make the motion that we approve the initial fleet service contract with Haynes Buses for the 26-27 school year.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
On to G, consideration to enter a comprehensive MOU with Haynes Buses for bus attrition and route acquisition, chartered activity trips and other transportation, emergency transportation services, and air conditioning maintenance and repair for the 2026-2027 school year.
And before Ms. Mora shares information on this, I want to let you know, typically in the past years, this has been like 4 different MOUs on these individual items. We did decide, right, to take all that in one, put it in one agreement. So you've approved these in the past, they just are in one MOU. Ms. Mora.
So in doing this, with the MOUs, we were in such a rush to get meetings scheduled for the contracts that there were some items that were brought to my attention that I'd like to address for this upcoming year. The cost for I have it, sorry, it's right here.
It's not a test. It's not a test. You got your book right there, Anne Marie.
You can check your notes.
It's the mileage, the $1.89 per mile. And as we were talking about it, Joe's such a great person to have on board. He's great to have on your team. And he mentioned that we could do a gas card for the contractors when they do take, I'm stating specifically for our activity trips, to help with that, because right now they fuel the buses if they use our district-owned ones. And Joe, that's something that we're going to be looking into next year, is getting a gas card. And this year we're getting ahead of the field trip situation, because last year we had one driver, and we're being more proactive and creating a field trip calendar so the schools will know when they are able to take a field trip, rather than us having to cancel because we don't have drivers.
And Ms. Modak, I believe these rates that you see here for the activity trips here, these are the same rates that we used in 25-26, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
it's the same, we didn't
Yeah,
change it.
so I think the important thing to note as we continue to look on working on this is that this is not changed from last year. Though I know when I came in last year, between 24-25 and 25-26, there was a lot of discussion about this item here. However, right, we've kind of held the same on this for this year to the point for probably, again, with other things with transportation for later, we'll need to look at that a little bit closer as well. Anything else about this MOU, Emery?
Nope, that's it for Haynes.
Any questions by the board? Any action regarding this item?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Crowe?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
Okay, on to H, consideration to approve the initial fleet service contract with M&T Buses Incorporated for the 2026-2027 school year in the amount of $1,744,601,
So, I understand. For this, when we met on 3 separate occasions for M&T buses, and this is the request that we agreed on to bring to the board, and this is a 4.5% increase from last year. The contractors had wanted to wait until they saw the allocation, and it did take quite some time. And so that's why we had to meet 3 separate times.
So why is one more than the other?
So whenever we talked with M&T specifically, they stated that they have a lot of engine issues. Is that correct?
Feel free, Willie, Gabe, come up here and provide some information for us, please. Oh, sorry. Gabe, I said. Oh, sorry.
Good evening, board. First time up here. So what was the question again? Sorry.
Why are you wanting more than the other contractor?
So as far as I do have 31 buses in the fleet, I'm the bigger fleet. I'm not sure how many Haynes has. You saying had like 15, 16? Yeah, so pretty much I went up on the fuel. As far as I know, last year I think I was like $138,000. Fuel did go up a lot. Since March, we were paying like $550. Right now it's about like $450, so I kind of went up a percentage. I think it was about 40-some% on the fuel. So that's where I came up. I made a graph as far as all my fleet, how much fuel, gallons we're spending, average, and I went up off that, so that's why it went up that. 4.5%, then I am asking 1% for the drivers increase on salaries. So that's, oil did go up. I didn't throw oil in there. Parts are going up as far as I bought a bus last year and I bought a bus from, well, actually maybe 6 months apart, and they did go up like 3%, 8%. So pretty much that's where the parts are at. Oil went up 15%, 20%, but I'm not asking for that. I think allocation is low. We can kind of manage that. I do service my fleet. I don't contract it out as far as oil changes and all that stuff. So that's where I save money. Yeah. Any questions? In my head.
Questions by the board? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, members of the board, I think as, you know, as we.
I have a question.
Yes,
So-
Mr. Kroll,
So
go
the
ahead.
price won't go up for gas, we're locked in, we're done. So if it goes to $10 an hour, $10 a gallon, you're stuck with it.
Well, see, it's kind of a shoot. So.
Can you talk in the microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you, you're fine.
So we locked our contract last year, right, up about $3, $3.50. So we were, in March, it went all the way to $5.50. So that's maybe like an 80% increase. So that's ended up being, since March all the way to May. I haven't done the graph, but we wasted almost 50 grand on top of what we asked for. So that came out of our pocket to fulfill the fleet and the fuel.
So we're locked in now? We're
Yeah, I mean, that's.
For the year,
we're
so
locked
if
in,
it goes
that's
to 10, that, we don't have nothing to do with it, you're stuck with it?
Well, I mean, it'll be nice if you guys help us out. I know we had to submit emergency fuel to the state if something like that happens. I'm not sure how we go about that. I know the district is apply or.
The state will.
Oh, the state will let us know.
And Madam President, Board Member Kroll, we did, when the gas prices did go up this spring, I know Anne Marie and Joe contacted the state to ask if there was going to be any emergency supplemental funding for fuel statewide in the transportation formula. I believe the answer was, it was no. So when we asked them about the bump that happened in last spring.
So if there were to be more, it would come from the state, not from us?
Yeah.
Operational.
We apply
Okay,
for
I
that,
think
and
that's
we'll-
what he's concerned
we'll
about.
change- do his average and my average in schools. And I know we did that maybe 3-4 years ago, something like that, when the price went up.
Is there any discussion like electric buses for like local routes for the in-town
I mean,
routes?
we looked into that, but as far as the charging ports, I mean, they average, now you have to buy every charging port for every individual bus. They average from 40 grand to 120 grand, and that, maybe the 120 grand charging port bus maybe charges up in 3 hours. Buses that could only run like about 120 miles with full charge. So like that was, we got.
Yeah, no, it'd be more for like in-town, like, you know,
Yeah,
stuff that
so I mean, it's.
within a 5-mile radius
Yeah,
of
but
the
it'd be-
schools to be able to save, so you're not doing this, right, where we're
No.
worried about fuel and going to
Yeah.
$10 or trying to come $50,000 out of your pocket.
Yeah.
You know, it may be that port may be, you know, to the charging port may be, you know, more money at this point on the onset, but in the long term, right?
Yeah.
Is it advantageous? Are you money ahead? Because now you're using that bus for a couple local routes and you're not having to pay $10 a gallon for fuel.
Right.
I mean, it's just one of those things that I throw out there. You know, it's something to look at because to me, I think, you know, this is tough and it's not sustainable. $470,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. I mean, at the end of the day, this is taxpayer money and we have to justify that. And so I throw that stuff out to say, hey, maybe look at other things, possibilities that may help with some of that stuff. And you're not dependent on gas. Because the gas right now, I own a diesel truck, I know. But the gas right now is so volatile that we don't know where it's gonna go in the next, you know, 3, 4, or 5 months.
I've been getting emails about, I think there's grants out there for electric buses, but I thought it would not be applicable for us at all.
But you need a structure as far as you need to run
Right.
power to your facility 480, just to get that off P&M, it costs money to us for
Right.
transformers, all that stuff, it plays a big part.
Well, and we'd
That's
need
a-
to wait for the rerouting situation too, to see if we even, how many of those routes would be applicable for.
Madam President, members of the board, I hear a couple things here. One, right, we want to take some volatility out of this. We've got to get this supplementing down to, again, a reasonable thing, right? Some work we got to do on our end as a school district. To Member Johnson's point, the state has put out for the last couple of years some electric bus grants. I think, and I'm going to put this out here so Anne Marie and Joe can help me remember, as you know, we have to look to see what's out there, but as we're putting this RFP together for next year, there may be a space to put in there, you know, what they can provide or share or are willing to do relative to electric buses. I mean, I think, there's been a big push in our state to go electric buses. There's been some uptake by some school districts. My experience says, when it's something new, don't be the first person to give it a try. Let some of your colleagues do that, and then sort of do an examination of what was effective and what was not, and how that can apply to our community or may not apply to our community. So I'm hearing those couple of things there.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be electric bus, it's just there's other
Ideas.
avenues out there that may be a little more, they're CNG. And, I don't know where the CNG lies and where, if it's allowed for buses, school buses or whatever else, but there's plenty of CNG vehicles operating the same way, and CNG is a little more reasonable. City of Deming has had stuff that runs off of CNG, and there's stations here that can fill those. So, I mean, it's not necessarily that one specific, it's just there's possibilities and to explore those avenues. That way we can try to get to a point where we're not moving money around to cover $470,000.
Yeah, I'd like to add, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, is we've discussed this several times with the previous superintendents since I've been here for the past 6 years. An electric bus is about $475,000. Now that's out of our pocket, not including the charging equipment. I've had experience with Mountain Air School District, bought 2 of them. They were both in the shop within 6 months. Now at the time, we have to surrender our old bus, so we can't use it once an electric bus goes down. That's correct. We also have to have special equipment. We can't service them ourselves. They have to go to Albuquerque. If Albuquerque can't do it, they gotta go back to Tulsa. And we do not have a spare bus.
Well, and I said it wasn't anything with the electric specific, it was just other options,
They have
right?
a gas version now for a Cummins engine. I mean, there are other options, but unfortunately, the diesel option is the most economical at this point. Even though it's a gas engine, they've changed the design, the price is going up. And from my understanding from Robert's truck is there's a new engine, bigger engine coming out, and new emission standards next year, and the cost of our buses are gonna go up about 10% after next year. So right now, they're about $148,000 a piece, and that doesn't include $8,000 to register them. So our costs keep rising. And I agree with you, Mr. Orozco, we're gonna have to find an option to help each other out where your guys' cost is low, and we still can make sure that we can run and serve our community.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
What's going to happen if, when we hire this company or whatever that does the new grid optimization or whatever it is, and we wind up taking, if routes have to be dwindled, then what happens? Does this contract still stay in place for the year, or do we minimize it? What's going to happen? That's what I'm just curious.
I can share a couple things. That's an area of learning for me, Member Kroll. We do know kind of, at just a very quick first glance, right, the couple of port of entry routes are something that, could probably be doable during the year, right? Kind of in that January time that Member Johnson was mentioning. There are stipulations, and Joe's been educating me a little bit, and Anne-Marie's been educating me a little bit on what's called an overpayment type of thing, depending on attritioning of routes. However, we haven't attrition routes here in Deming or reduced routes, I won't say attrition, reduced routes here in Deming in a minute. So that is an area that we're learning, hey, because you do that, right? Obviously, they've got buses that they may have leases on. They've got employees that they've hired as contractors. So we want to be mindful of that relative to anything we're able to make it in season, in school year decisions this year. But my gut says the large optimization of all the routes, that would be a project that we would run this year, bring information in the spring in preparation for 27, 28. So I think there's a little bit of, I would say, obvious trimming we could consider this year. We would then contact the PED to have a conversation about, an overpayment issue relative to the contract. But Emery, that's kind of would be the vision. That big optimization would be something we would work on this semester to get information kind of by next semester, because then we have to kind of move forward. If we do have that RFP, then it's gonna we're gonna need to be able to say, hey, this is kind of the route we have to provide those people. Hey, here's the routes that we're looking at for next year. Is that fair?
Yes, that's true. If the payment has already been made for this year, so we have the funding. And when I talked to the PED about it, if we need to pull a route off, we can do it. If it's one that is collecting rental fees, that's where the overpayment comes in. But she also said if for some reason we get an influx of students, we can also put that bus back, because we would, instead of being a active bus, it'll be retired bus or a sub bus. I keep saying sub, spare bus.
Any other questions for contractors or Ms. Mona? I think our contractors could take a seat if you'd like.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. Do you have an action regarding this item?
Make a motion to approve the initial fleet service contract with M&T buses for the 26-27 school year.
I'll second that.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Bless
No.
you.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
On to I, consideration to enter a comprehensive MOU with M&T Buses Incorporated for bus attrition and route acquisition, chartered activity trips and other transportation, emergency transportation services, and air conditioning maintenance and repair for 26-27 school year.
Go ahead, Ms. Mora.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent W., this MOU is the same as last year and the same $1.89 that I said before.
Okay, any questions by the board?
No.
Do you have an action regarding this item?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
You can sit down, Mrs. Mora, now. We can change the name of the meeting to Mrs. Mora's meeting.
On to J, consideration to approve quote for English and Spanish reading and math assessments, progress monitoring, and intervention software from Amira Learning in the amount of $131,691.54 and any applicable taxes.
Mr. Wyman.
Yes, sir. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Wagamuth, yes, before you guys today, we have a quote for Amira Learning, which is going to be a program that we'll be using K-12 this year, targeting a couple different groups. As you guys reviewed the strategic plan, this will be one of the ways, as Superintendent Wagamuth mentioned earlier, that we will be monitoring reading growth and reading proficiency throughout the district over the next year. With that said, K2, it is required currently by PED that they take the assessments 3 times a year. However, this does add us a layer of intervention for the students, as well as the progress monitoring component outside of just those 3 months. This program used to be iStation. iStation was acquired by Amira. The program is much different than it used to be, right? So I know earlier you were asking about like a reduction in assessment. The previous assessment did take about 45 minutes to an hour each month. This assessment is much quicker, much more targeted, and actually we get much more data out of it. And so it's about 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes, depending on the individual student, it might take up to a half hour, but it is a much shorter assessment, and we get much more data from that that's useful for our teachers to be able to support the students in their reading capacity. Additionally, this does also have a Spanish assessment for reading. It's going to be a new assessment as well. The previous assessment was still that legacy assessment for the Spanish component, and so that one took about an hour as well. And now there will be a new Amira-like assessment, which will also be much quicker. We'll again get much more data that's more effective for the teachers. And then we also here have a program that aligns with our instructional model and our instructional curriculum that you guys have adopted as a board. And so it allows the pacing to be the same and build some background knowledge in reading as they go through that curriculum as well. In addition to the reading component, there is also a required math component from PED. That will be a focus as well for our K-3 students. As Superintendent Wagamuth earlier mentioned, the new math law that's coming out is going to be requiring a diagnostic evaluation 3 times a year for math as well. And so this will support us in that work throughout the next year as well. And so with that, I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Wyman? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe? Yes. Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
On to K, consideration to approve the amendments to policy I-7200, IKE, promotion and retention of students. First read was held on March 5th, 2026.
Mr. Wyman?
Yes, sir. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Wagamuth, as we did discuss in March, there were some things in the previous policy that were a bit outdated, and so we wanted to come to you guys at the time. There was a little bit of a delay between then and now, obviously. I got a little bit taken to a different project for a few months, and then toward the end of the year, I figured it would be a little bit more advantageous to wait until the summer, because didn't want to change the retention policy at the end of a school year, which would have potentially added to some confusion. With that said, the largest thing here is that these changes will really allow us to establish a clear criteria at the district level for what proficiency is, as far as in terms of retaining students. It does give us some operational flexibility related to MLSS and interventions that would be prescribed by the superintendent and learning services. High school remediation fees, previous policy did say that the parents would be responsible for the cost of essentially summer school, right? If a student did not pass a class and needed to have a remediation. This update allows us to charge a nominal fee, which I think is beneficial, as it will serve as an incentive for students to succeed during the regular term. The district does retain the discretion still to waive these fees for financial hardship or any identified needs. And this aligns with state statute regarding payment in that grade band. And then additionally, we did also remove the K-12 literacy section, which we addressed in a different policy a few months prior to this first read. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
I want to say this provides good clarity for, what we can do here in the district going forward, right? Clarity is good when it comes to setting things for retention. I know this has kind of been a project Learning Services has wanted to work on, and so this little adjustment allows them to do that.
You need a motion on this one?
I do.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cole?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
On to L, consideration to enter into the local government road fund cooperative agreement with the New Mexico Department of Transportation, including the approval of Exhibit C, a resolution stating the district will be participating in this agreement.
Madam President, Ms. Echeverry assists Mrs. Stauffer on applying for this, so I'll let Ms. Echeverry share a little bit about this, and then I can give you some additional backgrounds. Jessica.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Wogama. Before you is the local government road fund cooperative agreement. This project is a pretty basic project. Our scope is including purchasing parking bumpers and flexible delineators to improve safety for the bus and student drop-off pickup areas at Baton Elementary, Deming Intermediate School, and Red Mountain Middle School. It is not a huge project. The total cost is $15,071, and that includes our share, which would be $3,768, and the state would pick up the rest, which would be $11,303. I'll stand for any questions.
If you want to go back to the slideshow, Mr. Turner, that has those bullets on there for review. Any questions that you all may have about this this small project here?
If we're putting bumpers at those specific locations, what happens to all of that if we changed the parking lot situation?
We can use it somewhere else if we need to.
Okay.
Those are the schools that we just picked because those are the ones that we would most likely need it for. But basically with this grant, we're just purchasing the materials, and we will have them because we said that we would be installing them ourselves. So the grant is basically just the purchasing, which looking at the budget, that would be 100 bumpers, 100 delineators, and then just the delivery fee, and that would conclude the grant.
Any additional questions?
Have a motion regarding this item?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes. I wish the state would just write the whole check.
Right. Onto M, discussion and possible appointment of community members to the district audit committee.
Madam President, members of the board, Joe and I shared with you, I don't know, May or June? I think it was May or June. We needed to make sure the board appointed a parent to our audit committee and a community member with a background or experience in finance or business management. Is that, I think that's determined. I think I put it on the slide. I think I actually put what the actual rule was on the slide there. If you go back. There we go, yeah, committee includes total equivalent, and one volunteer community member with accounting or financial experience. So the parent doesn't have to have financial experience, but the community member has to have accounting or financial experience. And so, Joe, I'll let you explain the process that you used, and then, of course, we have the list of names that was received.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendent, so we put out a flyer asking if anybody would be interested in participating in as a member of the audit committee. That they were to email me, and we put a deadline of it of July 10th so that we would have time to be able to get information to you before this board meeting.
Madam President, members of the board, I think we have the names here that we can show that were responded. My thoughts on how you might want to do a motion on this. We have a group here that's parents and both, right? So we need a kind of a motion and action on a parent, right? Can be from the parent category and the both category. And then I think it's going to behoove us to probably just do a community member, like we were having this conversation about if we pick somebody from the both, does it count as two people? That might not be in the spirit of what the statute says. So we'll need a motion on a parent, either from the parent category or both category, and then a separate motion on who you would like as the community member, which can be the community member or the both. So, and again, if you need us as a school district to go out and gather some additional names, you can table this item, table one or both, and we can go out and look some more. But it's your choice as a board.
Any discussion or motion among the board regarding nominating a parent?
Of all of them, Donna Jenkins, I don't know if y'all have had much interaction with her. She's the one, is she here today?
No.
She's here, I've seen her at several things. She's engaged.
She's out of town.
Right, okay. And she's the one that spoke last Monday at the PEC. But my point in bringing that up is she covered all the different types of schools that she had been part of, and not Title IX, but just to me, had a very robust interaction with schools, would have a good understanding of what would be part of this.
I would
That's my
second
person.
So
If you'd make a motion.
if you'd like to make a motion.
Sure, yeah. I make a motion that Donna Jenkins be the parent on our district audit committee.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Crowe?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
Do you need the community member as well?
And now we do need a
I'll make
community
the
member.
motion for Shannon Jody.
I'll second. Mr. Crowe?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
Thank you. I will be contacting them. I would like to have a meeting with the audit committee before our next audit committee meeting with the auditors, just because we want to talk about confidentiality and what can be said during the audit.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. On to N, discussion and consideration to conduct the board's self-evaluation using the tool provided in our policy manual. This topic is my topic. We are at the point where we need to conduct a board self-evaluation. Per policy, we are to be doing this annually. And so as far as the approach goes in satisfaction of our policy, I would move that we adopt the following as our plan for this cycle, that the board conduct its annual self-evaluation at this meeting using the tool in policy form B-0131, with each member completing the instrument individually, turning them all in, and then at the next meeting, we can summarize the information. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe? Yes. Mr. Kroll, yes.
Okay, so we'll just take a second. Each of us can fill these out, and then we'll turn them all in to Mr. Wogemuth, and then he can summarize them for us at the next meeting. Do it now.
Everybody's gonna watch us?
Yep. It's the awkwardness of self-evaluating yourself in front of everybody.
So this is,
I think all of us.
this is me personally? Or
This is
it
us
how
as a
we
board,
feel
as a whole.
as a whole?
Mhm. on to board announcements and requests for items. I would just like to request that on our next meeting, if you could, Mr. Wogomuth, compile all of that information into a nice summary that you can just let us know what you summarized from all of that.
Madam President, Mr. Turner and I will work to provide some summary, a trend summary on that, on which you gave us. No
Perfect.
problem at all.
Thank you.
Are there any other board member requests for items or information in our next meeting?
I have one. I know previously we've asked that we get a report of what the new system, the state security system is catching. But
Oh, yes, the open gate, yes. ma'am.
yes, but what is it looking for in addition to what y'all are catching, if anything?
Sounds good. Yeah, I know that
Like
was.
what
that-
the
that-
level is set out?
That had come up, so we'll continue to work on that, I think, probably. And, you know, we sort of, like, implemented at the end of last year. Now we got the start of the new school year. I think that's kind of a good opportunity to kind of get some information in the first part of August. So just be a little patient, maybe August, September-ish, but we'll certainly try to work on that, because we want to make sure the information we bring you is a good amount of comprehensive information, right? Because we really only use them for a couple of weeks in May. You know, and then of course, if we use, obviously we're going to use them now, but by the time we get to the next board meeting in August, we'll only still have a couple more weeks. So we may be able to give you more comprehensive view if we kind of look towards September, because we'll have more weeks of information. So we'll put that on our list of things to make sure we get to. I think we're going to learn a lot.
Any other board member requests for items or information?
I had requested a couple of months ago
Ben-
about getting Ben Archer
Ben
to
Archer,
come
yes.
over. So that was just.
You got it. That's on our list too, Ms.
All right,
Pines.
thank you.
No problem.
Any other requests? The board will be having a special meeting on August 6, 2026, beginning at 4:30 p.m., and the next regular meeting will be held on August 20th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Both of these meetings will be held here at the Emmett Shockley Administration Building. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
Mr. Kroll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crum?